Hello and welcome to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I'm the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com or at beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, I'm really excited about this episode because it doesn't only focus on a business aspect, it focuses also on just a life aspect. We're going to talk about having a winning mindset today, because I think, especially as school's coming out, a lot of changes are happening. It's a new season, it's summer, a lot of things are happening in life right now that feel kind of a little bit upended, and it's easy to think, oh man, I don't have everything that I want to. It's easy to kind of fall into especially with kids home for the summer, and it's easy to fall into the mindset trap of I'm failing as a mom because I'm not doing X, Y, and Z activities all the time, or I'm trying to balance both a working job and motherhood, and it is just feeling really overwhelming, more so because your kids are at home. You may be home working as well, or in an office, whatever that looks like. It kind of, that mindset spiral of I'm not being a good mom, I'm not being a good employee, a good boss, whatever position you hold, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's your entrepreneurial dream of I don't have enough time. All of those things are kind of intertwined, especially in this season of life where things are kind of being upended. The pattern you've been in has been upended. The daily motions are a little bit upended. There's not consistency in a routine. There's more of a kind of a little bit of fluidity throughout your days of being able to be mom with your kids being home. Then you've got, they're not structured, so it's kind of like some days you're doing an activity, some days you're not, some days you're balancing back and forth between the two. You're trying to create activities, but you've got business things to do. That it just, there's no real consistency, real congruency to your structure, anything like that, to say that you have a routine. Yes, there's also a framework of a routine somewhere in all of us. We have a very similar framework, but what fills in the holes of those could be one day you're at the water park with your kids, the next day you are balancing working and being a mom at the same time because you're working from home. Maybe it's trying to balance getting out of your office early so you can go do activities with your kids. Whatever that looks like, it's all there. There's a framework of a routine, but it seems like when summer starts, it kind of gets knocked off kilter a little bit, just because everybody's taking a break. Your kids are like, oh, we're not in school, we have no reason to wake up, we have no real reason to get moving in the morning. You may not have that luxury of, I have to get moving because I've still got to go to work. So all of those things play into what's coming in this next couple of weeks if your kids aren't out of school yet. But I wanted to focus on having a winning mindset. This is something that actually I have been learning about over the last 2 weeks from our last episode, because it's something that has been very important in knowing how to really step up into my the next higher level, the level I want to be at, kind of elevate myself, if you want to call it that you're growing, that you're moving, that you're making steps into the direction of the goals that you're looking for. So we're going to dive right into today's episode. So the first thing that I want to talk about is understanding the underlying mindset of what you're going through, learning that you can't change reality. That reality is there, that the things that are happening are there. You can't control what is happening, what the reactions are, or anything like that. But you can change your mindset to perceive it differently, to take that energy, to take that situation and change it into something more positive rather than focusing on the negative feelings. Maybe looking at it through a different perspective, a different lens of saying, all of this is happening, how is it affecting me? Because what ends up happening is your mindset is composed of your beliefs, your assumptions, and your expectations. So when you're looking at a situation, knowing that that it's all there, and what you have, what you believe, the things that you have instilled in you, what your assumptions are about a situation, and what expectations you hope to see could be changing depending on the lens that you're perceiving it through. Because if you've ever had a situation, I'm going to pick on stress because that's something that is always living in our lives. It ebbs and flows very well. It's a very fluid emotion for all of us. But there are moments where stress is a really great thing for you, that you're looking at it through the lens of, I'm moving forward. This is really propelling me to hit my deadline. It's giving me the energy I need, the functionality I need, that I'm really focused in. I'm doing a really good job on this sort of thing, versus another point of view of saying it's negative, it's damaging to my relationships, it's damaging my body, I'm not doing well, it's just a negative thing. So perceiving that lens through a different lens. So if you have a stressful situation happening, what lens are you looking at it from? Are you looking at it from, it's all negative and I'm not going to be able to do this, I don't work well in this situation, type of situation, I don't function in this space, I am doubting all of my abilities, my strengths, everything in what this looks like? Or are you looking through it through the lens of saying, this is helping me thrive, I am moving forward, I have an amazing energy, I'm focused, it is really helping me get to those deadlines, everything like that. What lens are you looking at reality from? Think about that as you're going into this new mindset shift, is thinking of the things that are really underlying. Are you looking at things through the positive lens or a negative lens, or maybe just kind of a neutral lens of that gray area, a little bit of, I can see the good and I can see the bad, and I am just going to not react to either. Think of those things where you're at in that focus and moving forward into the space that you're at to change that mindset, to reframe what that looks like. So step number 2, following along with that, is reframing your reality. Like we said, we can't change what is happening in reality. We can't change the things happening in the world, but we can change the way we perceive it, the way we react to it, giving it all of those things, having the emotions. Your emotions are valid. You can have those emotions. You don't need to tamp them down, especially for this winning mindset. So we're going to come back to that. But reframing that reality and changing that positive negative thought into a positive thing, finding that silver lining in what that looks like. You have the choice of taking a negative thought and letting it and holding on to that and letting it move forward, and kind of what I call, it spins itself a web of things, that it's kind of that sticky fly trap, that once you have that negative thought, then every thought that you have becomes a negative self-deprecating thought. It could be the negative thought of, I'm not doing, like, I don't have the ability to work well under stress, that then it sticks onto the different sticky thoughts of, well, I don't have the ability to do this job, I'm not good at my job, I'm not good at blah, blah, blah. So it just is that continual downward spiral. It's that sticky fly trap. If you let it stay in your mind, it also starts to attract, because we are energetic beings, that you have higher frequencies and lower frequencies. But that when you're living in that mindset, that sticky trap that's just pulling all the negative self-deprecating things out of your mind, that it lowers your frequency. And the lower your frequency, it just is easier to pull on those negative things. Instead of reframing that reality to your positive thinking, that is going to elevate you more and keep attracting those positive thoughts of, if something is, we're going back to stress of, this is helping me reach these deadlines, then it's like, I work really well under these conditions. I'm going above and beyond. I have amazing abilities in A, B, and C area, and I'm really great at balancing work and my home life, all of these positive things. Then it becomes a sticky trap for positive things. And you keep raising that energetic level where you're pulling in more of those higher energy thoughts that are going to keep you in that space of higher energy, feeling that positive thinking. You're not looking and saying the glass is half empty. You're more like the glass is half full, or just the glass is half, like just the glass is there with water in it type of thing. But you have that energy that's automatically pulling you up into that next level. It's automatically pulling you to those positive thoughts that become that sticky trap that keep radiating through you, radiating through your family, radiating that extra positive overflow that you can give to all of those around you, and whatever that looks like. So step number one is understanding your mindsets and the underlying mindset, where you're coming from when you perceive something, and then reframing that reality, taking those negative thoughts, making them positive, because positive mindset is going to hold you to that higher standard and keep you moving forward with that higher frequency, with that continual sticky trap of positive goodness that's coming in your mind. So think about, part of this episode, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework in this, but I want you guys to ask yourself the question, what thoughts do I need to reframe? When you are standing in the mirror looking at yourself and just seeing the things, what are the things that you're looking at and thinking you need to reframe? That maybe you are feeling kind of out of sorts, your clothes don't fit right. That, are you looking at it saying, I need to lose weight, or I'm on a journey to making my health and wellness better? Because necessarily, like, one way or the other, you're looking at it. If it's, I'm on this journey, it's easier to accept the steps along the way, the smaller victories, rather than I feeling like I need to lose weight. Then it turns into it comes that sticky trap again of negative thoughts of saying, if I don't lose weight, then I can't lose weight, then I'm never going to be such and such, and just that negative downward spiral nobody wants to be in. So think about the thoughts that you need to reframe, and especially focus on some of those thoughts. How are you going to reframe them? What is that positive other side of making it something that's more motivational, if it needs to be motivational, more something that will keep you in that positive upper level mindset of attracting all those positive thoughts that are coming to you? So reframing your reality. Attached to that, so these are all kind of going in a very they all attach one to the other. So attached to that is, your thoughts are not you. That if you have that negative thought of saying, oh, standing in the mirror, because I've done this happens to me all the time, that's saying, I need to lose weight when I look in the mirror at times, that, baby weight's still a thing for me. We've talked about this on a couple of episodes, that it's a process. I've had to reframe that specific thought into, it's a journey. I've got to accept that I may not be losing numbers on a scale, but I may be losing an inch or a quarter of an inch, or I may be up to lifting heavier weights, enjoying those small things along the way that are saying it's a journey and I'm getting there. type of thing. And so my thoughts are not me in saying, well, if I can't lose weight, then I'm not going to be a good mom. That's not true. That's not who I am. It's just coming out of my space, right? Thoughts are exactly that. They're things that just fire across those neurons in your brain, and then we are the ones that give the power to them. The thoughts have no identity to you. They don't define who we are, but they only have the power to affect our reality, how we perceive things, what we're moving forward into, if we let them. I know, think of how many thoughts you have a day. I can't remember the number, but I know it's a lot. We have a lot of thoughts that go through our brain all the time. And some are just like super fleeting of, oh, I like popcorn, right? And because you smell popcorn, it's kind of like, oh, I like popcorn, and then you move on. And then you have the other thoughts of, if I can't do A, B, or C, then I am pretty much a worthless human being. And we attach to that thought and let it become one of those sticky traps that we kind of live in. But we're not, we are the ones, as they come fleeting across our, what I call a ticker tape of a brain, that when they come across that ticker tape, you're going to see, you either say, that's important and I'm holding on to that, or, oh, that's super fleeting. We get to choose which thoughts are going to remain in our mind and which thoughts are not going to remain in our mind. So when you have that negative thought of, I can't do this, so that must mean, what we need to do is just try to let it pass, try and let it go. Just, if it comes up, just kind of let it be that ticker tape, just keep scrolling to the next thought. If it doesn't want to pass, then we have steps that are going to take us in that way. But if it does pass, then great. You don't pay attention to it. You're not giving it any power, any sort of traction in your mind and what that looks like. So before we go to a commercial break, we're going to go through 3 things we've talked about so far to get a winning mindset. Is understanding the underlying mindset. What lens are you perceiving the situation from? Reframing your reality. How are you going to reframe what that looks like? How are you changing that mindset? And then number 3, remembering that your thoughts are not you. We're going to hop to a commercial break and we'll be right back. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I am your host, Mallory McGary. I am the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I'm your host, Mallory McGary. I'm the founder and CEO of Beautifully Blooming. You can find me at beautifullyblooming.com or email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network. Welcome back. We are talking about a winning mindset to help us get through the summer, get through the last 7 months of the year, maybe hitting those goals that you had set in January, maybe the goals you've set recently, whatever that looks like. These are going to help you get that extra motivation into where you want to be over the next 7 months, that you are ending the year on a strong note. So we've talked about understanding the underlying mindset, what lens you're perceiving things from, reframing your reality, so taking negative thoughts, letting them go, or reframing them into something else, and then understanding that our thoughts are not us. Our thoughts don't give us identity, and they don't define who we are. They're just exactly that, a thought. So we're jumping in to talk about how we are going to, what happens if you have a negative thought and it just sticks. You've tried to let it go. You've tried to let it flourish out through that ticker tape of the thoughts that come in, but it keeps popping up or it keeps sticking. And maybe it's starting to get into that sticky web of that downward spiral. It's attached a few other thoughts to it. What's one way you can reframe that, right? Our goal is to reframe that reality, reframe that thought, and turn it into something that will be positive to keep us on that higher energetic field to continue bringing in a bunch of positive things for our lives. So if that negative thought happens, this is the thing that I have found is have a conversation with it. I know I'm not the only person that talks to myself in my car, at my desk, at my computer screen, even at the TV sometimes, having a conversation with myself of what that looks like. But have a conversation with yourself. Have a conversation with that emotion technically, or that thought, and what that looks like. Sometimes it feels a little weird as you're practicing it. And I have been practicing this for a while. So it does feel weird the first few times, but when you think a thought and it's just becoming that sticky fly trap, what you need to do is just ask yourself, why are you thinking that thought at that moment? Is there any evidence of truth in that thought? Or does it hold a lesson for you? So our thoughts are usually fueled by our emotions. And what emotion is bringing up that thought? How are you feeling in that moment? Maybe it is the witching hour for your children. I have two littles. We know this. My witching hour is literally from 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock at night. There seems to be no reprieve in there. I've got a few witching hours, as it were. And there are times I got dinner spilled all over the floor. I'm trying to keep the dog from eating it. Both kids are crying. One of them is on the table. One of them is like laying on the ground, throwing a tantrum. It's just a whole mess, right? This is my reality. This is what it is. And I can take that whole thing, and the immediate thought is, I'm a terrible mom. I can't get my kids to eat dinner. They can't sit at the table. We can't make it through one meal without having some catastrophe. So I'm a terrible mom, that they're not going to eat food. Then I'm going to starve them, and then they're going to starve, and they're never going to want to eat, and they're not going to want my food, and just a whole myriad of things can come up in saying all of that. And it's only because I'm feeling flustered. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling angry of how they're reacting. There's a lot of emotions going on in there. So having the thought of not again can fuel into, I'm a terrible mom because this happens every single night. Where in reality, there's no truth behind it. Does it happen every night? No. Are the witching hours there? Yes. But is the same situation happening every night? No. Is that happening once in a blue moon? Yes. Is it maybe happening probably more than I would expect? Sure. But it's not evidence that says I'm a bad mom. It's not evidence that says whatever situation it is, it's not evidence in saying you're a bad business owner, you're a bad employee, you're a bad mom, any of that. It's just been spurred on by all of the emotions that you're feeling and everything behind that. So what is the lesson from that you could take from that? I can take the lesson of we're gonna get into a better routine so that it's more of a comfortability for my kids in knowing we're eating dinner at X time every night, that there's no fluctuation in that you're not going to have a bunch of maybe snacks before dinner, that we're going to eat dinner and we're going to get into a bedtime routine. All of those sort of things, maybe making that stronger, maybe making it a little bit more robust in having that structure, having that routine. Maybe it is taking a little bit more back and saying, okay, if you're going to play for dinner, we eat over here and your plate's here, and when you're ready to come eat it, then it's there. And not have some of the structure that does work for some parents. I've heard it work for some parents. So those are some things that I can learn and take a lesson from, but it's not saying to me, there's no evidence in saying that I'm a bad mom in those feelings as they come up, because there's going to be a bunch of different emotions in different situations in that, but the negative thoughts stick and hold on. So ask yourself, have that conversation with yourself of, why are you thinking this thought at the moment? Is there evidence of truth? What lesson does it hold? And what are my emotions behind that? Because once you get the emotions out, it's easier to find that the negative thoughts don't stick as much, because you know the feelings are coming up. You know, maybe something is going to set off an emotion, right? If I get frustrated at having different meetings or having my children throwing tantrums before dinner, that thought's going to come up of, I'm a terrible mom, but I can shut that down and just be like, we're having a tantrum because we're either hungry, we're still tired, kind of go through different gamuts of what that situation could be, rather than focusing and funneling on my emotions. They're not as strong and leading to those negative thoughts. So have that conversation. It feels weird, I'll be honest, but it actually is super beneficial in helping you move forward. Know that you can validate your thoughts and emotions as well, that you don't have to hide them. All thoughts, all emotions are valid. They're fleeting. They hold no identity to you. They don't define who you are. And you don't need to be sorry for when they come up, because you can't always predict them. But they are real. There's nothing wrong with you for having them. So allow them the space to breathe so that you can move forward from those emotions. That's just a little side tangent. Then I think we're now on step number 5, is creating positive affirmations. So you're exploring all these new things, how to reframe things, have conversations when you're feeling those negative emotions become sticky traps, understanding your underlying mindset, changing your thoughts about how you perceive something. Now create those positive affirmations. So exploring, finding what works for you, and then creating those affirmations to help them stick in your consciousness and just help you stay on that plane that you've been working hard for. Write them down, stick them on a mirror, stick them on a bathroom mirror, stick them on your desk, stick them on your computer, whatever it is where you're going to see them the most. Maybe put them on your phone background. They're going to help you stay in that space as you're trying to work through what these look like, because the more practice you have, the less you're going to need those reminders, because it's going to become a habit. But keep those reminders going. So create those positive affirmations. And then number 6, have compassion for yourself. This is one of my favorite things that I always love to tell clients of mine as you're doing something new. Give yourself grace. Nothing is going to happen overnight. It is also something that it's one of my many mantras I have, is give yourself grace, give yourself compassion, because there's different times and different things that will come up as you're learning, as you're growing, that you're going to feel like you should be able to do overnight. You should be able to have those things happen overnight. And if they don't, you get really frustrated. So give yourself the grace, the time to breathe through those things, and to allow yourself to move forward, to allow yourself to have that winning mindset that's not only for a season, but that's a permanent thing, that these tips and tricks will help you step into that next level version of yourself, so that when things happen, you have that automatic instant response of knowing how to handle it. You have the tools, you've been given amazing things, you know how to handle it, that it's not as maybe debilitating as it could be. Maybe it doesn't shut you down when it happens, that you're functioning on a great level as you're working through some of these, but still moving forward into that next level elevated version of yourself. Please let me know if you have some content or feedback about this episode, email me at mallory@beautifullyblooming.com. There's some great things happening out on the website in the next couple of weeks, so be sure to check it out at www.beautifullyblooming.com. You are listening to the Mindset Bloomcast with Mallory. I will see you next time. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week and stepping into your next level self. You are listening to the WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast, the #1 internet talk network.